Good morning, everyone. Microphone check. Microphone check. Screen check. There we go. Hey, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, SSFTG family. Hopefully you're all rested up and ready to rock and roll. And I think this time around everything's working the first time out of the gate, so that's kind of nice too, huh? Let's see here. 2 seconds. Dealing with YouTube giving me a bit of a hassle. Hold on. There we go. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone was able to rest up and get ready for the day ahead and all that fun stuff. As per the usual, make sure to read through the morning prep PDF on the right side of the screen there. Very important to understand everything that is inside of there. Also, a quick note for you all before we jump on in today on the YouTube side of things. The stream does have between like a 5 and 30 second delay, which will definitely impact the timeliness of what I may be talking about at any given moment. Along with that, of course, like we do every day, I want to thank all of our new members, subscribers, Academy students, VIPs, and everyone in between. Thank you all so much for the support. I'm super excited to have you all on board. Welcome to the SSFTG family. If you aren't a member yet, you have several different options to check out if you're looking to further your trading education and career. The easiest way to start out is to join as a member on YouTube. It gets you in the chat room and a bit more behind the scenes in what's going on. Or if you want more information on how we do everything in our trading approach with over 20 plus hours of video course material and just tons of other stuff, swing over to the main page at ssftg.com. So whether you're here for the very first time or you're one of the VIP vets over on the dedicated stream, welcome. Glad to have you trading alongside with me this morning. Let's take a look at some charts, take a look at some news, see what all is going on for today. As far as today is concerned, of course, don't forget to grab your morning DP levels. Those are posted for you this morning on the Major 7. NASDAQ, S&P, crude gold. Crude gold? How did that even happen? Euro, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I don't know. I don't even know how that happened. I just skipped right over gold. Gold's the one that's really moving around, too. I can't sweep that under the rug. Come on now. It's a race every day, but stumbling last couple of days. Forgot to tie my shoes, I guess. We've got the, as far as the news calendar is concerned, we've got the 8:30 news this morning, which came out with the core retail sales, initial jobless claims, Philly Fed manufacturing, as well as the Philly Fed employment. And on top of that, retail sales to boot. So there's a lot of big news announcements coming out at 8:30, and that's going to move the markets around quite a bit, obviously. As we go into the rest of the day, we really don't have a whole lot. 10 o'clock news is medium, and that's at best. And then later this afternoon at 1600 is the TickNet long-term stuff. That's usually not going to do anything either. So as it stands, I mean, well, not a whole lot of news. See what the charts are doing. Gold's just getting absolutely annihilated right now. Looking over on the NASDAQ, we've got some pretty solid sideways movement in the larger picture, but I mean, really, this sideways movement, if you will, has a pretty nice little trap on the inside, rotating back up. Now we're breaking back above the previous swing, although it only did it by like a tick. It's still something to be noted. There's a lot of things of interest that are going on for a potential reversal play here for the bulls. It's just a matter of whether or not they actually want to show up to the party and, you know, get this thing going. Yeah, I mean, from a volume perspective, if we go from the top all the way down to the impulse low, of course my data's still bugged. Man alive, it's like the day before. The volume from the day before is always a mess. Doesn't work right. I don't know. Anyway, we've got the POC shifted down at 15,360. It's, I mean, you know, again, it's pretty obvious that the buyers are picking that up. And now that we've got such an incredibly strong reversal to the upside, bulls are going to be looking for this to continue. The thing that we really need to see here is, well, if it is going to continue, then we should be able to overtake any amount of POC action or anything going on over here. And they're actually bottom weighting one right now at the 15,450s. So, I mean, this is definitely kind of stepping up to the plate. Kind of interesting. We'll see, but, you know, the open can change things, of course. Over on the S&P, similar situation. except for the fact that they did not break a new high. The S&P is still lagging behind a little bit. As far as the overall volume is concerned, we can go from the top all the way down to the impulse low, and it's probably going to be bugged, but fingers crossed. Yep. All right, just go all the way. Fine. We've got some interesting price action going on here around this POC. Now, the NASDAQ broke above the highs. It put a bottom-weighted POC at the base. It's demonstrating what the bulls need. Here, well, I mean, we're running into some difficulty here. Maybe this is a flag, and maybe it continues higher. That could definitely be the case. And if we look at it from a cycle perspective, this is only wave 1, wave 2, technically still validating an impulse wave to the upside. So, I mean, it fits for continuation up. There are some concerns with settlement above and the POC above and, well, everything else. If we go from the lows here and look across, we can kind of see what kind of action's going on from there. The POC's in the exact same spot. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess we don't need that whole thing. 44.7250 then is that POC, and it looks like the majority of it happened in one big buckshot of an order that came in there. And now with that out of the way, we got to sort of wait and see. If the sellers hold it underneath the 72.50, that's great. But if they continue back above, that's a really good sign to continue along the way with what we're seeing on the NASDAQ. Gold is just getting destroyed this morning. Looks very much like they're trying to reach out for a measured move of this degree. And if we bring that across, that would place it, well, we're actually getting pretty close here. Draw it correctly, and we're right about there. So from an ABCD or a zigzag corrective type formation, we're pretty much there, right? It's made a pretty solid move down. If you're looking at it from a rotation perspective, off of the highs, they rotated off the highs on L2. Wow. Continuation back to the downside with an L1, another L1, driving down. Sellers follow up with the third L1 over multiple days. It took forever. Continued back down. The deeper flip into the L2s worked out beautifully, back down to the low closes. But look how long it took them to finally get a new low. It took them over the weekend just to finally finish the job. So no wonder it bounced so aggressively. They're like, God, fine, get me out of this thing. Jeez. They hit the exits real fast, and that when screaming all the way to the up. But after that rotation, all we have is an L3 and another move down. What that tells us is that we should be expecting an L1 for a continuation lower. We do have some measured move completions, so from a risk-reward perspective, it would make much, much more sense to look at it on the narrower 2-to-1, not allowing it to really climb very far. Because if you're going to have to go out to like a pure invalidation going into the L2s, I mean, what does that even fit? Like a scalp? That's it. So, I mean, it's one of two choices here, and one looks a heck of a lot more favorable than the other right now. We'll see if they can get there, but that's going to be the zone of interest, right inside there on that L1. And just so that we don't confuse anything, I'm going to get rid of all of it but the L1. Save ourselves the hassle. And save myself the hassle before it disappears into the ether of nothing. Make it so that I can actually see it. There we go. Alright, there we go. Looking for the L1 at some point. Hopefully sooner than later. We'll see what they're able to do. Sellers have a very strong conviction to the downside, though, from an L3. Oh, and just so that I don't lose that, so that I know what it is in the heck that I'm talking about. So we've got the L3 looking for the L1 continuation of the downside on gold. We'll see if we can pull back at all. Over on crude oil, really good continuation higher after that trap low. And that trap low was a double validated trap low, meaning that they came back and retested it for confirmation before screaming away. You don't typically get that very often. It's not very frequently that the market gives you something that obvious. Now, you know, I say obvious. In hindsight, obviously, it's incredibly obvious. But you can see the amount of support that came in there and the secondary bounce directly off of the inside low. And the only reason I point this out is because, well, we did a video about this. This is one of my favorite traps. Bing, 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 right there. That's why. So, I mean, we obviously know the bulls took over, if it wasn't obvious enough already. We were talking about the measured movement to the upside. Maybe they're looking for a continuation. We've already gotten the ABCD, basically. But as far as a volume profile is concerned, going all the way from the lows to the highs, have they changed anything? Oh, God forbid my volume works properly. Okay, well, at least the volume's still there. $70.47 is the POC on crude oil back to the downside. If it's going to want to pull back to any area of interest, that would be the spot. From a structural perspective, what do we really have? This most recent pullback, if we go from the larger high, was an L5. So in L5, you expect an L2, which we haven't had yet. And an L2 parks it right back towards that POC. I mean, it fits. It might even be closer to an L3, although that's not usually what you'd expect in that scenario. Euro continuation to the downside. As far as the overall cycle is concerned, the Euro has a very nice wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5 completionary cycle to the downside. One of the most obvious cycles that you can pick out of a hat. Just stands out. Very obvious. Fits all the rules, fits what it's supposed to do, fits the guidelines. I mean, it does everything. So from here, then we have to anticipate that we're probably going to have a corrective phase of some sort. And it doesn't necessarily have to fit the Elliott wave structure, but it's got to at least make 5 waves. So we've got the first wave up, second wave. That one came close to invalidating the first one, but 4 and 5. This is also very commonly known as a wolf wave, for those of you who are looking for that reversal pattern right there. Wah, wah, wee, wah. Sheesh. We've got a heck of a reversal off the top of that one. Now, this did continue to go sideways for a little while. It made you wait for it. And realistically, that just tells us that we have a complex sideways corrective nature, that we're going likely inside of wave 1, wave 2, but now we're expanding out, right? So it was a little bit messy in the beginning, and that tells us that wave 2's gross followed the guidelines for wave 4, but we're now in wave 3, and we're continuing lower. We are beyond wave 1's distance, so it fits as an impulse so far. As an example, if it were to do something like this, it fits, right? It does everything that it should from a wave perspective. So we're kind of there. It just hasn't necessarily completed yet. We've just got wave 1 into 2, and now we're working on 3. We'll see what they can do from here. And location-wise, geez, right back to the 4th wave top. Ooh. The Euro is just following that structure to the T. A couple months ago, you couldn't have paid me to trade the Euro. In fact, a couple mornings, I skipped it altogether. We've got Bitcoin, which is just gradually grinding its way back to the upside. This makes me a little nervous that bulls... Well, I mean, if the bulls were aggressive and they felt like they were in a real big rush, where's the excitement? Where's the big bull bars? Where's the blow-offs? Maybe this is just because of the viewpoint that we've been spoiled by these gigantic volatility spikes. But realistically, this is just kind of a persistent, a very persistent bull trend that's just kind of grinding its way higher. And usually inside of that, that's telling us that we're probably going to see a false move to the upside, something along the lines of this, usually led by a deeper pullback, which is what is required before the larger move actually reverses. So right now, although the bulls are still continuing this market to the upside, and I have to give every reason to the bulls in belief that they're going to continue taking this higher, at least for the short term, that is sitting in the back of my mind. I don't want to be buying too high. Over on Ethereum, similar situation, and Ethereum is, you know, again, the thing that makes Ethereum so weird is because they went into their own territory, into the all-time high stuff, and kind of flipped the script a little bit. So we are getting this beautiful pip trapping underneath the bottom, those good old pick your pockets. Man, did they pick them. They went down there and just, boink, thanks, peace, gone, never to return, all the way up. It hasn't even really pulled back, arguably, for a wave. This all looks like it's kind of part of a wave 1 of a sequence. It's not really done anything. Realistically, if you go from the top, what do we have? Gigantic move down, wave 1. Move up, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. kind of just sideways. It's not doing anything, right? And now that we're breaking out, we're not seeing any pullbacks. That makes me think that this might not necessarily stay like this, right? I would love to see, especially structurally for the health of the market, a pullback back down to like a negative 1 DP, 3300s. That'd be a really nice spot. We'll see. Jumping over to the S&P and looking a little bit closer from the 60-minute perspective, or sorry, farther out from the 60-minute perspective and seeing what's going on. We already know we've got the completion of the 5 waves to the downside. After the 5 waves, we expect sideways. It sounded like Dr. Seuss this morning. We've got the continuation lower with a first move low. We have not broken above the highs, so technically speaking, still fits, right? That could just be... I mean, there could be a lot more in this. This could be very interesting in the way that it wants to build. But for now, at least, if it wants to float common structure, just kind of drawing it like a trend line, a valid D point would fit about there. And then from a structural E point would be like that. We're pretty far away from that yet, but we're still in corrective nature. We're still sideways. There's not really a whole lot going on. But if we zoom into the faster time frame, pretty obvious to see that there is something going on here. We have a very sturdy reaction move off of the lows to the highs. What's one thing that could potentially be missing, though, that the bulls are desperately in need of in terms of this reversal? One major thing that they're missing right now. I'll start drawing it. Right there. We have not broken a previous confirmed swing high, which means that this is not a confirmed trend reversal. It can't be. That said, there are a lot of signs that point to it is. but for the time being, we have to be realistic here. This has not technically confirmed a trend reversal. From a developing POC standpoint, then, we obviously have the POC way up at the top. Did that happen before or after the impulse? My data's bugged. Why? Why does the data have to be bugged right there? Can I squeak it in? Please? Okay, so they did do that initial gigantic Jumbotron POC shift right in here. Right there. That's where that huge order came in. Remember, I only have this drawn to just after midnight. Right? So we know. Right, that came in right there. It didn't come in over here. I'm sure this helped, but it came in all over here, and that's important to note. 44.7250. That zone is going to be a potential mess. Let's make this orange to go with the POC. Gold, sure, whatever. Good enough. In terms of upward continuation, we do still have swing gapping to the upside. So, like I said, I mean, the bulls still have a lot of things saying that we should continue higher here. But this 44.7250, that's going to be the tipping point. It's a very obvious, very valid attempt from the sellers. If the sellers try to get this to roll down and they fail and we churn back above that POC, it's game over. That's really what it comes down to. I would really like to see this go up here to continue wave 3. But, I mean, for right now, I guess it's there. I just don't like it from that structure. Zooming in internally here and looking at what's going on so far, which the answer to that would be not a whole lot. But we've got the initial cycle that started off this downswing. Nice little bear cycle lower, break, completion, first leg down. Started reversing back to the upside and started trying to get a channel going in the opposite direction. You can see they weren't really sure. They want to go off the close of the bear bar. We've got some wicks there. That kind of held. Maybe, what about this wick? Well, that kind of held. What about over here? That kind of held too. So you can see there's a lot of confusion where bulls were trying to get this reversal going. How's it going, Ace? And with this attempted move to the upside and the trap above the highs, and then the subsequent massive drop to the downside, I think a lot of bulls were taken by surprise. So you expect two legs, right? 1, 2. There's your 2 legs to the downside. That also likely creates a wider channel that we may be dealing with at the moment. For now, it fits probably best right around here. And we can see they overshot the lows, so we anticipated overshot of the highs. That's what they're doing right now. It almost looks perfectly equidistant, too. Now, would I want to be a seller right now? Good Lord, no. This is way too much bullishness. Remember, we still have a lot of things that are saying that the bulls should take over, but can I really be a buyer here without taking on excessive risk? No, not really. Not until we get above the 7250s. And even then, taking on excessive risk down to 25 quarter, you know, I mean, there's still some pretty wide risks down there. From the pullback high going across, we're testing the POC of that at 44.69. Gotta get me them hander pants. I know they make them. I've seen them. Wasn't it that guy, I think we talk about this every once in a while too, is that guy that made Crocs for your hands, and then he got a cease and desist from Crocs? Like, no, you can't do that. I wonder how it'd be trying to swim in those. It'd be incredibly dangerous? I'm still absolutely baffled that they haven't made a bodysuit Croc. Or if they have, I haven't seen it yet. Like some college kids in a dorm or something roll down a hill in a bodysuit made of Crocs. They still have fun like that these days, right? I'm not. We've got the bulls attempting to get this continuation to the upside. Realistically, with about 7.5 minutes ago, we're stuck inside of the overall wider range. We're not really going anywhere per se, but man, they're really trying to get something going here for the bulls. They just got to really prove just a little bit more. What did it do before that? Lovely. It's like a flip-flop. It did the same thing in the opposite direction. Just out of morbid curiosity. Nah. Not enough. You mean online learning? What? Sorry, it's too early. I haven't drank all my caffeine yet. That one went over my head. I just shaved my hair, too, so there's nothing to catch it. And here it sits. Man, kind of a slow start this morning, huh? Except for gold. But it hasn't pulled back yet. Man, I'm kind of looking forward to the open. Jeez. This thing is just sleeping right now. Trying to fight over that initial move. POC of the impulse is at 67. Obviously, sellers are going to be attempting to look for a continuation to the downside. We've got a nice bear pulse and everything kind of lines up, but this bull rally is just a bit too much. It kind of shuts the whole thing down. That bear bar, though, I mean, talk about awkward timing. 2.5 minutes to the open. As far as gapping or no gapping or anything, we are opening up kind of right on top of support from before. The support area is going to be at around the 65s. That's right where the market's holding. So this little pulse down here, I mean, we'll see where they open. If that doesn't hold, though, I mean, what else do they have? Jeez, there's nothing else to hold the market if that doesn't hold it there. Going from the bottom to the top all of yesterday, basically. They parked the POC up at 72.50, but the other POC's down here at 4445. There's like nothing in the middle. So they either have to hold here, hold here, or hold here. There's not, this kind of no man's land. They make post-apocalyptic movies about that area. People riding through sand dunes and stuff on buggies made of sheet metal. By the way, great movies. 1 minute until the open. What was the other one where there were prisoners that they had to drive in the circuit? Death Race. That was another one. I think they ended up making like 20 of those, didn't they? There's so many of them. Sellers trying to get a bit of continuation down. We can see in the pre-market on the 2000 tick what's going on, but from the 5-minute side, we've got the 65-75 area of support that lines up with where we're kind of opening up right now. Mad Max, yep. There's a lot of different ones where they scrap heap a bunch of stuff together. There's Mad Max. I always remember Mad Max because of the dudes on the poles that go like swinging around. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. How cool. Just strap a guitar to him, why not, you know? Starting the attempt to try to push through this area. Now, again, on the 2000 tick, we already know that the sellers definitely have a reason to believe, but this is why I don't like trading into the open, because I know if I would have shorted there, I would have gone whoop, 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 and I would have been taken out there. I don't mess with the open for that kind of stuff. We're starting to get out into that no man's land on this first 5. Touchy, touchy. We've got 4 minutes left. As far as the NASDAQ, I mean, it's just kind of grinding its way down. Nothing has really changed. The nice thing is this high up here did happen in the overnight, so we can use that as part of the measurements. We've got the L3, which continues down. They're expecting an L1, got a 2, failed, but continued with another L2. Sellers would expect another, but it hit an L3. Kind of disappointing movement on the way down. After the L3, you expect an L1, but it got a 2. So they're really mangling people on the NASDAQ using that high. Yeah, maybe it might be better off using some other highs then. I mean, you can see it though. I mean, look at him just getting ripped apart trying to buy this. You'd think there'd be strength there, huh? You'd think. Very nice bull reversal back to the upside again. Buyers picking up that support zone off of the previous swing low structure at 65.75, although we do still have 3 minutes left on the candle. $44.68 POC is the one that's kind of getting pressed back on. We've got a 3 press top here. This feels like they're trying to get buyers suckered in too high to just rip their face off. I don't know why, but I can't shake that feeling right now. If they can keep going up like this, though, that'll definitely shake that feeling pretty quick. We've got 2 minutes left on the first 5. There we go. All right, now we're finally getting a little bit away here. Good continuation to the upside. Bulls are still looking for that follow-through. Remember, on the 15-minute perspective, where we are now, too, we're breaking through this 44.7250. We're cracking above the 67.50, possibly trapping in some bears down at the lows. It feels like it'd be buying very high right here, which is why I would rather or prefer this area as an options, because I don't want to buy way the heck up here, but you can kind of offset that risk with options. The upside objective, though, spans out very far. I mean, you're looking at upside objectives back to 4,500, another 25 points. So it may feel really high right now, but might not necessarily be the case. The S&P really needs that new high. If they can get the new high, they prove it. Right, that would be breaking above. You can see it on the 15-minute. You got to get above the 70. We'll just say 80. 44.80. If they can hit 80, we know they hit it. Nice pulse to the downside here. Looking at the S&P for a continuation by the scalpers at least, at the very least, for the upside. Looking for a continuation up, 72.50. Nice little pulse back there. There we go. Dealing with open S&P volatility. Nice little pulse back to the upside. Keep going for this last portion. Nope, they're falling apart. I'm going to jump. Sorry, I had to hit the ask like 7 times to try to get out of that thing. It wouldn't give it to me. Nice little scalp pullback on the dip, but couldn't get the follow-through that I was looking for, so I'm not going to hang out. In the end, between all of that, it only ended up being a scalp, too. You can see the bulls are just kind of losing their grip, like, ugh. Yeah, not very often you're going to see me hitting the bid and the ask on the S&P. But the open volatility, hey, you know. $44.67.50 is the POC that the market's trying to press back to. See if they have any kind of supportive nature at all there. First 5-minute POC. Let me go back and just make sure. It's at 44.68. Look at that 5-minute bar. Good Lord. I mean, we could very well just get stuck inside that 5-minute bar for the rest of the day. Or at least the rest of the morning. That's a nasty spot. POC attempting to hold here. Remember getting the bulls trapped up at the highs and then trapping them down at the lows, what we were talking about this morning? It's right here. Now, if they really want to be vindictive, they try to get a little bit of a dip underneath the 62s. Wow, the bulls triggered a second long off that base at 68.75, and they're just gone, like, immediately. There's no second guessing that one. Wow. That could change things a little bit. Bulls stepping up that aggressively to the plate. I mean, they might be looking for that longer-term transition. I've got some concerns with this current candle here, but it's got time yet. It's got time. I would really like to see like a nice bull bar or so. Yeah, there you go. Now, give me a trap underneath it. I'm always trying to get the best price. I can't help it. Three bull bar? Oh, well, I was going to say 3 bull bars pulling away, but... I wanted them to get that trap done on this candle. And there's not enough time now, so I've got to wait. I still really like that area. I'm just not going to approach it as aggressively in terms of like the slam in hard heavy mode, but little inside bear bar, not proving anything really. Looking for the push back to the upside to see if they can go for probably like 4 to 6 at least. Couldn't get a fill at couldn't get a fill at the target. It went up to 6. Man, this thing's moving quick. This next dive down is where we've got to pay attention to how they want to play ball here. Because, again, I still love this for the potential bull trap that's trying to take place here. But if it's going to take place, it would make more sense down at the 6250s. And like I said, I'm not going to approach this as aggressively. I would rather span them out a little bit further. God, the volatility this morning, though, huh? Jeez. Well, if the market just jerks straight back to the upside again, then just so that I know where that's at. Five-minute POC at 65.75. Seems like they're building a little bit of a base here in the 65s or in this area. $62.75 is still the trap low area. And again, the reason why I like this in the first place is primarily because of the 15-minute chart attempting to rotate back up. But that giant wick on the top is also why I'm not willing to put a huge amount of risk on straight out of the gates. We've seen a lot of those wicks trigger and fail as traps. It's certainly no stranger to that happening. Nice little push down into the low. This is the area where buyers are going to be looking for the push for the trap, right? If they're going to be trapping a low, this is the spot. Good rotation. See if they can follow through the rest of the way. I mean, they hit a 3-to-1 actual risk, I guess, but next objective would be a 5-to-1. Bulls will use this dip to re-up into their positions for another scalpable opportunity. And again, the potential longer-term reversal is big. So a lot of traders are also going to be trying to stack in for that move. Which is why you're seeing it so bouncy down here. Good continuation pulse to the upside. I'll use that to better my average. There we go. Now run. Oh, what is that? S&P? What the crap was that? Okay. I'll take the last one off on the break of the lows. That's not what I wanted to see. If they want to rotate back up, that's fine, but overall it's not worth the risk. So effectively all of that was just break even. Just couldn't get anything going. First initial one was a relatively large loss, but compensated for the others there. Pushed back down, tried to reload. Huge pulse up, and then failed all the way back down again. Oh, man. Blech. All right, well, a lot of that is likely due to this gigantic wick. And, man, this opens the door to some serious downside swings, because remember, we haven't confirmed that trend shift. So, there's some monstrous problems here for the bulls on the S&P. And this failed attempt to try to rotate back up, like we were talking about, what's going to hold them up now? What is there? There's, like, nothing. Kind of game over at that point. That's why I don't want to hold anymore. I guess if I waited, I could have gotten out of break even, but it's not worth the risk. Oh man, gold is still just getting absolutely pile driven to the downside. Wow. Looking at the S&P as far as a continuation perspective goes, or a non-continuation perspective goes, we started off the day with a giant candle. And so far we haven't even closed outside of that candle. We then followed up with an inside bear bar, which did end up following through. Realistically, I've got to say, I don't think a lot of traders were necessarily anticipating that, so I'm going to look at them more as swings, which means that they've got some pretty hefty downside targets. But here's the thing. They line up with the previous structure. So, it makes sense. Oop, hang on. There you go. So, the 2-to-1s on the inside shorts, they've got their objectives down there. If they were utilizing the top of that inside bar, which is very likely, then they've got a 3-to-1, which puts it down in the same area. Either way, we know that shorts are taking low probability shorts underneath the inside of that bear bar, and they're just accepting the fact that, hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I lose, $350, and if I'm right, I make $1,050, or whatever that happens to be the case. They're okay with that, because the long-term math fits, you know. Mild, albeit still there, candle gapping to the downside. 10 o'clock, right around the corner. Not too far away. The bears are continuing a heck of a drive to the downside, and realistically, I don't see them stopping anytime soon. We do have some downside candle gapping and all of that. The candle gapping is taking place on inside bars, though. Remember that. That makes things incredibly awkward. This is the first time that they're actually going to be closing, maybe, outside of the first 5-minute bar. Sellers are continuing to the downside. Candle gapping down as well. See if they want to come back and fill that in a little bit. Tested, no fill. Downside sellers will be looking for a continuation pulse for a, at the very least, a 1-point drive. Tested it, but I didn't get a fill on that next one. I still like this area down to 59.50 for the low closes, especially considering they had a little bit of a candle gap down and the fact that we still have 3.5 minutes. In fact, I want that just back to the 3. Ooh, not that. Well, actually, this doesn't really change a whole lot, I guess, but... How about this one? Tested the target, no fill. Tested the target, no fill. Tested, there we go. Final follow-through continuation objective is going to be 56.25 if they can get it. 56.50 would be the front run. And, I mean, really, if this thing wants to fall apart, this has downside objectives all the way down. So, I mean, again, this really has a chance to run. It'd be a little bit better if we had some open candle gapping, but... As far as a doubling down of the first candle, that would put objectives or logical objectives down at 49.5. I don't like 450, just seems a little bit easier. So easy, in fact, that I would rather go to 50.25 because I think too many people are going to do 50. Come on, ES. Nice continuation. Keep pulsing. There's no hope, buyers. None. Now fall apart. Beautiful continuation to the downside. We still have about 1:10 left on the move. Alright, we're starting to get down there. I'm going to begin trailing this because I am not interested in giving any of this back, especially now that we're pressing down into this major support. If they want to blow off and keep going, then awesome. Keep them going. $50 seconds left, still driving. Still driving. Ooh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Right there. Bingo, bango. Beauty. What a drive. As far as multiple contracts, I mean, again, if you really want to hold out, I guess there are some other further objectives down there, but I only had the one final one trailing, and I only took it as a scalp to begin with, so that was kind of icing on the cake. Beautiful move. Starting to, I mean, again, these are non-confirmed because they're opening up this way, but we have some open candle gapping at the moment. If the market was to immediately drive lower, and that would open up targets down to 40.5. But this is still a developing candle gap, so it's not necessarily there, quote unquote. And just a heads up as well for you Academy students and you VIPs and everybody else out there. I just finished Unit 4 and launched that. So that adds about, it's not a huge unit by any means, but it's something that was desperately needed, and I was really, you can tell when I was recording, I was pretty excited to record it. But Unit 4 is now live for you Academy members. I know I was going to do it at the beginning of October, but I would rather just launch it now. The VIP private launch that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be working on that as much as possible. The goal for it is to still have all of that launched by October 1st. So everything's looking pretty good. I mean, we're on track. But the VIP one's definitely going to take a lot longer. There's oh man, there's a lot of recording that's got to go into that one. So I'm trying. I also want to revamp the if you haven't noticed, if you go to the main page on SSFTG and some of the other pages within, I've been revamping some of the logos, make it look all nice and pretty. And I got to revamp the Academy logos next. I'm always updating everything. I can't help it. I'm such a perfectionist. It's like, oh, this can be better, that can be better. Let's add here. Oh, I don't have this. Time to add that. Let's add this. Thank God for YouTube, man, because if YouTube didn't exist, I wouldn't have an outlet to dump all of those ideas and things that just flow through my head sometimes. Speaking of, we've got about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes until we head into 10 o'clock, top of the hour, and that is going to be, that's going to be the, what? Oh, that's going to be the time that we transition over to the extended session. Yesterday's extended session, we had a couple nice scalps inside there. We got a 1 point scalp there, 1 point scalp there. That one was a bit vindictive in there. Ended up being a 1 point on average. I wish I would have held a runner on that one. Jeez. I know my luck, though. It would have gone up, gone back down. Looked like it's going up. I would have gotten out of break even or something stupid inside there. I know Murphy's Law. That's all good. We got this runner. I'm okay. Oh, hang on. I just had. See, this is why I always have a notepad near me. You ever have those ideas that are visual and you have to like draw it? Hang on 1 second, sorry. Okay. Sorry. There we go. We're good. 10 o'clock right around the corner here. Not a whole lot going on. Golly. Look at gold. Man alive. This thing's just been absolutely slaughtered today. I mean, this thing has slid so far down. They've gone below the measured move, the major measured move. They've gone below everything. What else is there? I don't really see a reason to want to be a seller on gold. This is more like BTFD. Where's the dip? Let's go back a little further. I mean, the major zone of interest, obviously 1677.7. So, I mean, you know, it's a ways out there. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Nothing else really going on, though. One thing that does stand out at least a little bit more obviously on the NASDAQ that we've got from the bigger perspective, is the market diving back to the larger POC here. Once it calculates, there we go. So the market attempting to dive down to the impulse. Oh, that's right. The impulse is broken. I can't use that. Can I use this? There we go. To the impulse POC, which is going to be down here at 15,360. We haven't gotten there yet. We are at a -1 DP, so probability suggests that the market does close above this by the end of the day, with a relatively decent high accuracy, 66-ish% likelihood. Now, if we can start getting down to the POC and down here, the probability greatly increases that it closes above that. So a lot of bulls are going to be looking for that dip a little bit further. S&P continuing lower. Next objectives to the downside are going to be down these 46s. The big volume node's at 45, so play it safe. We do have 10 o'clock, a little after. I'm not seeing any questions coming in, so that's going to do it for this one. Really solid morning session. Got a bit vindictive to kick things off, to be fair, but ended up making a nice little turn of events there for that reversal lower. I'll definitely take it. No swing trades really setting up for the NASDAQ today. Nothing setting up good enough. It's just been really gross inside here. I'd rather wait for something a bit more obvious before we throw swings on, because I know that's sort of a big one. Anyway, that's good. Oh my god, I just slammed my elbow into the bookshelf. That's going to do it. If I miss any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. I'll get those covered for you. Ow. Or drop them in the comments below. But if you have any questions, I don't know why they call it a funny bone. That sucks. Feel free to get them in one way or another. Either way, though, enjoy, rest up. If you're staying for the extended session on the VIP member side, just hang and we'll transition over, right? Have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. Bye. Uh-oh. Oh, no. My thing's messed up. It won't let me close it. Can I maybe... All right, let me try this. It might end. I don't know. Hold on.